Do you want me to be like, oh, and I have some questions for you, or is it
I feel like it's pretty obvious. Again, we're not playing a character. We're real people. I'm just giving info about my real self. It's not
okay,
like...
fine. All right, we're starting for real this time, right now. Introduce yourself, please.
It doesn't need to be in one take.
I don't fucking care. Introduce yourself right now.
My name is Cohen, and I will be the GM for Illoxar Unbound's Campaign 1.
How old were you when you first played a TRPG?
Do you mean TTRPG?
I did.
Okay.
We'll repeat the question with a question. How old were you when you first played a TTRPG?
The first time that I played a TTRPG, yeah, I think the first time that I would, to my active memory, be able to tell you events that occurred and what happened for a TTRPG would be when I was 14 years old, and it was not for Dungeons and Dragons. The first system that I remember was actually a superhero system that I will have to look up the name of because I can't even fucking remember it. It was an interestingly bad TTRPG about superheroes.
What got you started?
Friends, as far as like dedicated gameplay, is what really started on there. You gather around and you want this positive environment that you can all have fun and have this make-believe in a way that, you know, is like adult make-believe that we can all play around with. So I think the draw of getting to play with friends is what has put me in this hobby long term.
What GM do you draw the most inspiration from?
The GM that I draw the most inspiration from is difficult, because I am very analytical in my approach, and I would love to tell you like whatever great storyteller is who I look on, Matt Mercer or Brennan Lee Mulligan, but probably not. It's probably random people. It could be like from World of I.O., where I'm, you know, taking a lot of influence from Foundry. I think there are aspects that you could say I would pull from Brennan Lee Mulligan, but I also would pull from any of the Advantris GM. But a fixed answer, I don't have one. Who do I like the most is Brennan Lee Mulligan. So I would love to pretend that that's who I'm most similar to.
Do you prefer homebrew or pre-made campaigns?
I don't shame people for their like of pre-made campaigns, but they are a different beast. I think I value the creativity of homebrew as far as campaigning much more than I do a module, because the idea of a module system is a little bit more limiting than what I want. I really want that creativity to feel like I can make anything that I want out of the system and the world that I'm playing with the group that I'm playing with.
Why combo Dagger Heart and D&D?
Yeah, I don't even know if we've talked about it. Obviously, this will be the first thing that's releasing, so we won't have talked about what we're doing, but the system that we are running is what I am calling Dungeons and Daggers. It is a crossover system between Dungeons and Dragons and Daggerheart, primarily based in Daggerheart. The reason that I wanted to cross these over is there are so many aspects of Daggerheart that I love so much, but I have not had the luxury of having a group of voice actors that can quite live up to the expectations that Daggerheart places on us. It really is just a way for me to take the comforts that I have from D&D and integrate them into this new idea, all of the new concepts and the structure that is within Daggerheart.
What is your favorite character that you or a player has played?
My favorite character that I've ever gotten the luxury of playing with was definitely a character named Clavis Todd. He is a Grave Domain cleric that was a Springform Eladrin, and he allowed us, this was a player of mine, he allowed us to roll on the Eladrin traits table in order to determine what the traits were, and a very stoic, normal player happened to roll that his Spring Eladrin was always having the happiest day of his entire life. And him getting to play that was already wonderful. The spin that he took on it was wonderful. He was a gravekeeper that was elated to bury people, but fearful of them returning. Every part of that character and the gags that we had with that one was so incredible.
What is one ancestry and class combination that your players might not consider?
I think anything with the Witch. The Witch is from the Void, which is the additional content that is currently unavailable, but in playtest from Darrington Press. They have a lot of different abilities that tie into the Witch, and the Witch's just class abilities are really, really cool. I think the Witch in general is very underutilized. Our group doesn't talk about it a lot, and I think it could kind of combo into anything. Playing it with something like Earthkin or Tidekin, where it's a little bit less directly balanced, in particular with another mixed ancestry, would be very, very fun, I think.
Do you name all of your NPCs?
With previous groups, and certainly with this group as well, I am forced to, because they will ask, regardless of the fact that a lot of them are also GMs and understand that pain. They will ask. So I have to. A luxury of Foundry and Foundry VTT that we'll be using to display the game and the maps as we are progressing through is that you can save the names of NPCs, so I can just do it all at once, and when they ask, pull it up and not deal with it, because as much as I would say I don't, I have to.
Do you like when your players surprise you with their choices?
I love being surprised with choice. I'm such a simple improv fan, and the subversion of expectations setup, every part of it is so wonderful. We had this teleporting crystal that I set up in a one-shot, and I just thought, you know, players would come to realize what this is and do something. Never could have imagined that one player would fill a bucket with his own shit and throw it at that crystal to teleport it over. The chaos that ensues of shit covering and where you teleport after they later come in. Every part of being surprised about that and that improv of it, just the complete subversion of expectations are the things that I am unprepared for. I do love. I love rolling with it. I love playing with the outcomes on it and going along with whatever antics come from it. So yes, I love being surprised by choices.
Would you ever fudge a roll for the plot?
No. Thankfully, I don't really have to. A beauty of this system in how we're playing it is that the roles are sort of a follower of the narrative more than the narrative is a follower of the roles. It's kind of the biggest flip between Dungeons and Dragons and Daggerheart, and I think a part of it that I very much like. So I haven't felt the need in any of the gameplay that I've done. I think in the past, in my earlier years of Dungeons & Dragons, probably. But since then, I kind of like getting the surprise and the moments of awe with the rest of the players as well. I haven't ever felt the need, and maybe in this longer campaign with all of these wonderful players, I will feel like the narrative is so important that I will suddenly feel that come on again. But I haven't for some number of years, and I don't imagine that I will soon.
Has a player decision ever derailed a game so much that you had to change the story?
Countless times. Countless times that aren't on film that I couldn't show. Again, I love leaving it up to what the players do. I love setting a general arc and saying, like, you know, this thing is happening in the background, and maybe I have this many long rests until I have X big event happen. Whatever players do in that time, I want to encourage them. I want them to do whatever they want to do. And I love that chaos that follows. I love whatever they get up to, whatever changes they make, whatever punches we have to roll with. The largest change that I've ever had in a campaign, though, if I had to choose one, was our players kidnapping a child that they found at an orphanage and having them drink an oath beer, which was a creative drink that I had added, mostly intended for drinking partners to, like, share an ale and swear an oath to each other. But they forced that child to drink the oath beer and bound it to servitude to them. It set up so much to follow that I can't even possibly summarize it. The whole campaign ended up rotating around that one little guy, and he had a great life, but very different from what I had originally planned.
If a session had potential for major campaign-altering decisions, would you meet with the players before?
I do think this uniquely comes down to a group psychology again, and I don't want to go overly ranting into the technical side of GMing and understanding player relations and looking at that narrative because it's pretty boring. But I do think that's an important part of that sort of decision when you're looking at something with either campaign altering for positive or negative for other players, whereas, you know, suddenly the enemy of one player is being aided by another player in a way that they're kind of aware of and making things difficult. I think drama between players can be fun, but it has to be with the right context. It has to be that everybody's on the same page, in what is okay and is not okay, how is too far, how do they personally feel about these characters. Establishing those boundaries can be very difficult non-verbally. So if it was something major like that, where, you know, somebody who has a lot invested, 20 episodes into a campaign, you know, you're going to do something that may be seen as a betrayal, whether personally or a literal betrayal to the rest of the group or another player, I would probably address it with them beforehand.
Would you ever let a player be an antagonist to their party?
Like a direct antagonist.
Would you let somebody play a villain?
Somebody to sit at my table and only participate as an active villain. I would call them the GM. I wouldn't have somebody that's coming in to like play my battles for me in that sense. I think the primary role of a GM is to be the antagonist, and I think something where I'm directly competing, maybe in a very large group where it's like group versus group and there's other dynamics and some gimmicky bullshit that you could set up. But in general, no. I am the antagonist, and I will remain that.
Have you ever planned a challenging puzzle for your players that they managed to breeze through by a seemingly random decision?
All the time. All the time. I have a habit of setting up puzzles where I will let you get to it, but there is no solution until you do something else. So, like, you might reach the entrance to this maze, but only the Adventurers Guild can give you the key to enter, unless you do, like, that side questing. And sort of set up a series of events for stuff that I hide important locks behind. I like to leave that player choice as to whether or not they think it's worth it to go down these rabbit holes and try and figure things out. I think it's entirely up to them. I have done things like that where I give it as hints, where it's not necessary for you to figure it out to get to the end answer. A specific time that comes to mind is towards the end of the first fully virtual campaign that I had done. I had a dungeon that the entrance was locked behind a bunch of other side questing, just to give a clue at what the answer was. The end result was that they would get a hint as to how to solve the puzzle at the end of it, and I thought it was funny and goofy to have the wall be locked behind only being peed on to open. They decided to just piss on the wall when they first arrived without the side questing. You made a shocked face at that? It was your group.
I didn't know that. You never told us. So we had to pee on the wall.
Yeah, I did after, because you peed on the wall, and I was like, I can't believe you just pissed on this fucking wall.
If you were about to unintentionally party wipe, would you intervene or would you let things play out?
I think it depends. Unintentional party wipe isn't really a thing, right? Because if you've gone into somewhere, I used to give warning ratings. I used to say, like, I think this is going to be an 8 out of 10 difficulty for you. I think this is going to be a 6 out of 10 difficulty, to try and prevent things like that. And then I realized that players don't give a shit. And they're going to do what they're going to do and choose the fights no matter what you tell them. So there's no point. And as far as a TPK, if a TPK is what's coming, I usually will have given a pretty sufficient amount of warning. If I've put my players in a position to TPK for no reason, if I didn't give any warnings and I forced a combat onto them and whatever, I would be inclined to maybe try and think up something. I think something just totally empty is dissatisfying. It's not really what you want to do. But ultimately, the dice are the dice. So if the rolls are bad enough and the setup's good enough, I would never avoid a TPK because it's a TPK.
Would you end a campaign early from a TPK?
Just dissatisfying end. I guess what I was talking about with that is, like, you can have a dissatisfying end for a character. I don't think you can have a dissatisfying end for a campaign. You can't really just be like, well, that's the end of it. We're going to drop it and do absolutely nothing. You have to have a follow-up. So I would never end a campaign before the story is resolved. No. Don't forget to tune in for Campaign 1 of Illoxar Unbound, yet to be announced title. We will be featuring several more interviews on the channel in the coming weeks. May 1st will be Session 0. It will be live streamed, but the video will also be available. Session 1 is going to be on May 15th of 2026. Be there. Campaign 1.
How old were you when you first played a TRPG?
It doesn't need to be a rush. You don't gotta, really. I'm gonna edit it up. It's good.
How?
No, not the speaking.
Oh.
You let me. You waited for me to finish, and then you were like, "How old were you?" You could just chill.
These are pressing questions.
It's not.
Answer your question.